In a quiet village between two steep mountains, there was a river. This wasn't an ordinary river, its currents were fierce and unrelenting, and it was said to test the courage and will of anyone who tried to cross it. One sunny morning, the village elder, a wise and mysterious man named Elder Kian, called for a group of youngsters to meet him by the riverbank. The group included Rena, a swift and clever girl, Derek, the strongest boy in the village, Lila, known for her sharp wit, and a few others, all eager to prove their worth. When they arrived, Elder Kian held up a single white feather, its edges glowing softly in the sunlight. "I have a challenge for you," he announced. "Carry this feather across the river and bring it back to me without losing it." The youngsters exchanged confused glances. Derek laughed loudly. "A feather? That's it. Elder, this will take no effort at all." The others nodded in agreement, their confidence soaring. Rena joked, "Maybe you should have made it a boulder instead." But Elder Kian's sharp eyes narrowed. "Don't underestimate the task. This feather, though light, will test you in ways you cannot imagine. Only those who succeed will understand its true weight." Intrigued but dismissive, the group agreed to the challenge. The youngsters lined up at the edge of the river. Derek, with his broad shoulders and powerful build, went first. He waded confidently into the water, holding the feather in his large hand. But as the river's current surged, it splashed and soaked the feather. Before he reached the halfway point, the feather disintegrated in his grip. Defeated, Derek trudged back to the shore. Next was Rena. She took a different approach, using her speed to dash across the stepping stones scattered in the river. She held the feather high above her head, confident it would stay dry. But the wind picked up, tugging the feather from her grasp and sending it into the raging water. She stood helplessly as it disappeared downstream. One by one, the others tried, each failing in a different way. Some lost the feather to the wind, others to the water, and a few even dropped it in their panic to stay balanced. Elder Kian watched silently, his expression unreadable. "Anyone else?" he asked. The group was silent, their earlier confidence shattered. Finally, Lila stepped forward. Unlike the others, she hadn't rushed into the challenge. Instead, she had observed the failures carefully. She approached Elder Kian and asked, "What's the secret to carrying the feather?" The elder smiled but gave no direct answer. "Every challenge has its lesson. Seek balance, not force." Taking his words to heart, Lila took a deep breath and stepped into the river. She cupped the feather gently in both hands, holding it close to her chest. As the icy water surged around her legs, she moved slowly and deliberately, keeping her focus on each step. She didn't fight the current, but adjusted her footing to work with it. When the wind blew, she shielded the feather with her hands but never tightened her grip. Her focus was unwavering, her movements calm and deliberate. When she finally reached the far side of the river, the group erupted in cheers. But Lila didn't celebrate yet. She knew the challenge wasn't over. Carefully, she began her journey back, applying the same focus and balance as before. When she reached the shore, the feather was still intact. She handed it to Elder Kian, her hands trembling slightly but her face beaming with pride. Elder Kian held up the feather for all to see. "Do you understand now?" he asked. The youngsters were silent, their earlier arrogance replaced by humility. "The feather," Elder Kian explained, "represents any task or burden in life. No matter how light it seems, it requires care, focus, and respect. Most of you failed because you underestimated it, rushing in with confidence but no preparation. Lila succeeded because she treated the feather with patience and balance, working with the forces around her instead of fighting them." He paused, letting his words sink in. In life, even the smallest responsibilities can overwhelm you if you're careless. Strength alone isn't enough. Speed alone isn't enough. True success comes from balance, focus, and humility. The story teaches us that no task, no matter how simple it seems, should be underestimated. Success doesn't rely solely on strength or speed but on patience, mindfulness, and the ability to adapt. Approach every challenge, big or small, with respect and balance, and you'll find that even the heaviest burdens can be carried with grace.